Okay, I declare the meeting open. Out my mind there.
403.
4:03. Put that on silent at the same time. Call for any apologies. And earlier,
I've received none.
I haven't received any. Any declarations of interest? Okay, we'll move straight on to item 4, which is minutes of the special meeting of New England Weeds Authority held on the 4th of October 2022.
I'll move to accept them with the changes I emailed to the chair and everybody else.
Yeah, thanks, Dorothy. Good catch.
Any other comments on those changes? Those. So it's been moved and second, we'll have vote on that. So all in favour?
Who seconded?
You did, Margaret.
Did Right.
Unanimous. If anyone taking minutes? Or is it just this?
I think the GM is taking.
Wait for
Yeah,
them to
well,
come back.
better wait till it comes back then.
Yes.
Oh. Make our own notes in the meantime. Margaret, I moved it.
Which one?
Item 4.
Exception of the.
Oh, exception of the minutes. Acceptance of the minutes. Right, okay. So we're waiting for Tim.
And I'm the patient first, so I'll give him 1 minute. I am. Yeah. Tim, you're taking minutes?
I am, and I hate to say this, can you tell me who moved and?
Yeah, we're just about to.
Yeah,
Okay.
I've got it there.
Oh, okay.
Moved, subject to change of the rules of the chair and other newer members. Moved, Margaret seconded.
Okay.
Let's be
Item 4.
Passed unanimously. Okay, while he's doing that, which is fine, we'll move on to matters arising from the minutes of the special meeting of New England Weeks held on 4th of October 2022. Are there any matters arising?
I just want to get on with this agenda.
Right.
Other than adopting, making your changes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, that's a matter arising. We've all agreed to make Dorothy's changes.
Yep, it's been passed.
Good.
Item 6. Minutes of the extraordinary meeting of the New England Weeds Authority held on the 4th of October. What?
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, we want a special meeting and an extraordinary meeting.
Okay.
Okay. Yes, and as it says
Not that much.
there, I couldn't finish the minutes because I didn't have the detail of the closed meeting. And the model code of meeting practice requires us to have certain information. It's not a lot of information, but we still need to have it. So,
what I moved.
which I do have now, thanks to
You do.
Councillor Gresham.
Well, I couldn't give him the details though about
No,
when
but
we moved.
it doesn't need
to close-
details, it just needs,
No, yeah, just what happens.
it just needs to resolve to go into a closed session, the reason why it went into a closed session,
Yeah.
That's right.
what occurred, so say there was a motion put, doesn't have to be the motion, it's just there was a mayoral minute put, who seconded it, what the
Doesn't need a
voting
second.
was.
The
Sorry.
mayoral minutes don't need to be
And there
seconded.
wasn't a second.
No, sorry, and then the resolution to come out of the closed session,
So-
etc. So
Why don't I move that, seeing as those minutes aren't in front of us at the moment, that we defer this matter until our regular meeting on the 29th of.
Yeah.
yeah, and that's what it says. It's minutes will be presented at the ordinary meeting of the 20.
Item 6 to be deferred to the next meeting. the next year.
Do we,
End
do
of,
we need to resolve that? Or,
well, I
But
think
what
it's,
you need to do, someone needs to make.
yeah,
do I move to?
a second.
Thank you,
Right,
thank you.
it's all done.
And the video is on the website's up to date, all the videos, all the minutes, everything.
So this stuff goes. Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
But is it what you, no,
Let's see.
adoption of, this is item 7, adoption
Yes.
of operational plan, annual budget for 2000 for public exhibition. Okay,
Can I just quibble with one of the words in paragraph 1, which says the draft, New West Authority and Restoration Plan, can we change the word adopted in line 2 of paragraph 1 to endorsed
Yes,
for public exhibition? Because I get picky about whether something's adopted or endorsed. We adopt it once it's been.
yes.
Do we have to move it and second it before we can amend it?
No, we just.
We put the phone in, register.
If everybody accepts that, it's
Yeah.
like.
Recommendations on motion table.
Right, okay.
Moving exactly except for.
Yeah, so I've been endorsed for public exhibition for a minimum of 28 days.
Yeah.
so do we have to move and second that?
Yeah.
By Margaret.
Seconded by me.
Unless anyone.
No, that's fine.
Okay,
Happy with that? We'll move on to item 8 if so.
No, but we voted on it.
we've got three
Oh,
parts. Three part, we've
Should we
actually,
have a second then?
Yes,
yeah,
All right.
that probably needs to be put, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
So that's paragraph 1, because it appears we're operating in seriatim on this, which we won't have to do, but we are sort of doing it. Unless we wanted to accept that amendment and then move on to 2 and 3 and then put them all as one.
Well, we're reading this.
we might as well.
The following, number 2, oh, sorry, through the chair.
You can read them out, you're a better reader than me. Could you read them all, please?
Okay, following the conclusion of the public exhibition period, should public submissions have been received, a further report be presented to council of the submissions for the adoption of the draft New England Leads Authority annual operational plan 2022-23. I might suggest an amendment there that
Would have also about the
I don't think we don't make it conditional on public, following the conclusion of the public exhibition period and presentation of any public submissions that have been received, a further report be presented. We can't make a further report be presented to council of the submissions for the adoption of the draft New England Leads Authority annual operational plan 2022-2023. So we have to adopt it regardless. Does that make sense?
Sort of, yeah.
We can't make our adoption
No.
conditional on
Something that
submissions.
might
Well,
help.
but sometimes you might need to change it because of submissions.
Yeah, but that's what we do.
Right.
In that process. That comes back, our chair would give us a copy of these, any public submissions that have been made on it, and then we take, then a report on those is presented to us, after which we move towards adoption. And in practice, it may be that there are some amendments made as a result of those public submissions.
Paul, you have a comment?
No, it was more because we consider the submissions.
Yes.
That following the conclusion of the public exhibition period, public submissions that have been received considered in a report presented to council. Changing those words. There's a lot of words in there that mean go around in circles, you know.
So, do you want me to?
Yeah.
Councillor Packham to rewrite it?
Yeah, well, can we also
You've moved, so.
bear in mind that the next meeting is the 29th of November, which is exactly 28 days from now. So if we want to adopt the plan at the next meeting, we will have to be very quick about it.
Getting it up.
Yeah,
You have to go.
it's up here.
Right, okay. So that, Tim, I'm gonna rewrite it and
Yep.
speak it out, okay?
Okay, slowly.
You guys,
For the
Paul
dummies.
Packham, Councillor Packham, and everybody else can correct me. as I go. Following the conclusion of the public exhibition period, the public submissions will be included in a further report to council. For consideration of the adoption.
So full stop.
Prior to adoption.
Prior to adoption, thank you.
And now it should be publishing any public submissions.
Any
Okay,
public submissions, right.
Any public submissions received will be presented to council prior to the adoption.
You and I,
You happy with that?
I'm happy.
Think anything's better.
Has Mr. General Manager got it?
Yes, it's just a further report to council prior to the
adoption.
Prior to the adoption, yeah.
Prior to adoption, not re-adoption.
Prior to adoption. of the-
Prior to adoption.
We'll still happen on the 29th.
May.
Yes.
Right, now moving on to 3 through the chair, is that,
Yeah.
okay? That the constituent member councils of Armidale Regional, Glen Innes 7, Walker and Uralla be provided with a copy of the draft New England Weeds Authority Annual Operational Plan 2022-23 for comment.
So that goes out for public exhibition. Don't they get them to comment on it anyway?
Well, if you're sending it to them directly,
Yes.
it's,
Inviting.
directly inviting them.
It is.
Yes.
So,
You
because
just need to close out, you just need to put a close out. Close out, so they
28
need
days.
to comment within the same period.
Okay.
then the next,
For comment by,
For comment by the end of the 28 days.
By what, by the 28th?
hearing up,
or the 28th.
Yeah.
Well, you're not saying by the 28th on there.
within the,
You're just doing
within
28
the
days
exhibition period.
within the
Okay.
exhibition.
Well, how about spotting 2 and 3 so that it makes it clearer?
That'd work,
Got that?
but it's up to.
Yeah,
But two talks about public exhibition and in line with the first one. So you've got placed on public exhibition and following public exhibition.
Yeah.
That can also be provided, I think it's just as it is on order. As long as we also have them closing up within 28 days.
Here's the message anyway.
Yeah.
All right, I'm reading that as amended.
No problem. Whatever.
Yes, I'm reading it.
Well, I'll second it.
Is rule in favour?
Yes.
I agree.
No. I'm going to get back to my agenda. We're finished with 7, aren't we? Yes. Adoption of annual 8, adoption of annual draft of annual accounts for year 2021, 2022. Oh, right.
yeah, that's last year's session.
Yeah, it is.
And really all it is signing that page.
We need 2 signatures on that, is that correct?
Yes,
We need those 2 signatures. Do you want us to add something in there that if the chair is not available to sign that we nominate somebody else or?
See, I don't know legally where you can do that, really don't. Does anybody, and they help me, because I don't.
We need to have the chair and deputy chair. Normally it's the GM and the chair.
yeah, but if you look underneath, I'm signing 2 more times as
Yeah.
well. So,
Yeah, but you send them off as usually the chair and
yeah.
the.
For my recommendation, I would pass a resolution to say that it's, agreed to sign the document. And just go silent, and at the next meeting on the 29th, we just ask him to put his signature on it.
I've got a simpler solution,
Yeah,
but you may not agree with it, but. the-
appoint someone else to sign on his.
No, just you delete the word "and" in the second line that sits between the word chair and deputy chair, and just say that the chair or deputy chair be authorised to sign
Yeah,
the councillor's certificate, and that the statements be returned to council auditor,
yeah,
etc. That way, if there's some availability issue with the chair.
Yeah.
The deputy chair is authorised by everybody here to sign the chair.
yeah,
Well, that means that we're, as a council, happy for whoever is supposed to sign to sign. So
Yeah.
that means that we are authorising them because we're all happy with those financial statements.
Correct.
They're all got to be.
Rather than just being,
I think we might be making the rug for our back if we need the chair and the deputy, but if we just say chair or deputy,
I don't know if that would happen, but I want to win.
then
It's a massive hit. So
you and you wouldn't
I would.
sign it. Well, that's why I've changed and
Yeah.
to or.
Yeah.
Streamlines the process.
About
I suggested a
or,
change.
Not just use
No.
or.
just all,
Okay, but in me signing them, I want everybody at the meeting to agree that they are right.
yes, and remember what you're signing as well, you're only signing that we're approving those accounts to be passed to the
Yeah,
auditors
that's fine.
for auditing.
Yeah.
We're not saying the accounts are right, because I can tell you right now,
That's what I'm.
the auditors will make changes. So, but what we're saying is that we're happy that that's the information we're going to ask the auditor.
So that's what my address said.
Yeah,
Yes.
I just want to say that it's been,
Yeah.
we all are aware of the difficulties related to getting these figures together due to restructuring and transitioning of this county council under the guidance and management of the general management. But we don't have to, that's not a motion, it's just.
No, I think back to the previous meeting, I think councillor Pagan made a point saying we're put in here to do a job. And that is to work with Reeds and make sure it works in a manner that's acceptable to everybody here. And we're a bit stagnant at the moment, and I'm sure we're a bit all over that.
yeah,
So I'd like to move forward and I'd like to sign those. If you don't mind. If everybody else is in agreement.
yes.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
yeah,
sure.
Yeah, what's a motion that would indicate our
But
agreement?
Moses was, moved it, I'll second it.
I'm happy for somebody else to move in a second, but I'm happy to do it myself, but if anybody else would like to have a name, that's fine.
Asking him to do that. We'll check that.
I'll move it.
No, I'll second it. Unless you want to say.
No, no, no.
Okay,
All in favour? Thank you.
Should the two volunteers.
Huh?
Members.
Laura moved it, I
Yeah,
second it.
that's good.
It was a unanimous.
Yeah,
Richmond, Mr General Manager is the responsible accounting officer, very signing is that. as well. We didn't prepare the accounts.
a couple of reasons. One is we don't have too many other people to sign it. The other thing is I'm as familiar with the accounts and the contents of the accounts as anyone else. So I am rightly or wrongly the responsible accounting officer. Laurie can't sign it because he's a consultant. It has to be an employee of the Weeds Authority. So it's basically me sort of thing. But again, as the chair said, it's this is only to pass it to the auditors.
Yeah.
And they will then do their audit, make their recommendations, and we'll then vote on accepting their recommendations, then vote again on adopting the final accounts.
Well, with respect to Stu, it is, but the statement is still there, that they
Yeah.
are prepared in accordance with,
Yeah.
and they are, to the best of knowledge,
Yes,
fairly
and they are
represent these things. So
with
it's not just, oh, here it is, to be honest, there is
No.
you know, you don't
No.
quite have the warm, gooey feeling, but you've got to have some sort of, you
Yes.
are fairly satisfied that we've done the best
Yeah.
we can.
And I'm more than fairly satisfied. I'm very satisfied because although he can't sign them, our CFO did prepare all of these accounts in conjunction with Robertson Morrow. And the three of us have basically worked to say, yes, we're satisfied that this is correct. And the areas where we've actually asked the auditors to look at, we know exactly what they are and why we're asking that question. Because there's some anomalies, should we put it that way, in the way things were treated. So we've asked for rulings on various bits and pieces. But I know them pretty thoroughly now.
Okay, that's good.
Okay.
So, you want me to send those down?
End of the meeting, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's go on to 9.
Okay. Now, a bit of by way of explanation, you may say, well, hang on, didn't we set all of these dates at the last meeting? And the answer is yes, we did. One of them, in hindsight, was incorrect, which was the 29th of November. So we had already planned to have a meeting on the 29th of November, so that was incorporated. But the reason I put it down here again is there's a little part that falls into this, which is under background. That's the statement there, is that historically NEWA has had its council meetings, Councillor O'Connor may remember, on the third Tuesday at the nominated time. And we did, in fairly quick discussion at the last meeting, say we'll have our meetings at a particular time. And then, as you know, over the last 10 days, we've gone into a hiatus of what times are suitable and not suitable and etc. So apologies, but I put it back there to say, can we actually agree a time that everyone is comfortable with? Because my nervous disposition can't handle this. It's on, it's off, it's going to happen, it isn't going to happen, it's this week, it's next week. I need you to prepare, all these business paper in the next 2 hours and things like that. For what it's worth, I digress a little bit, but NEWA by Act has to meet 4 times a year, and it has historically over the last 10 years met 4 times a year. It didn't have a meeting and then an extraordinary meeting and a special meeting. It just had 4 meetings, 1 each quarter, 4 times a year, and it'd be good if we could get back to that sort of.
It would, but we've had a few issues to sort out.
Yeah.
So I think we're over the roughest patch.
So the question is,
Late submissions, one.
I'm happy with the time.
Yeah, look, I would love it to be 12:15 or 12:30, but that's just me. I'm delighted to see, I'm just checking that we've got 7th of February, not a day.
Well, we've got 17th of January.
No, in the blue box, we do it. It was
I was going to suggest the
in the blue
17th.
box above it.
so that's what was agreed by council at the last meeting.
Yes.
No, it is the blue box is the new proposals.
Yes, no, that's what I'm saying. That's what you agreed. So I changed the blue box.
February was the one that we agreed to last.
My only comment on the dates is that I'm expecting, if we're only meeting quarterly, that the quarterly budget review is performed and presented at that meeting.
Yes.
So 7th of February would have 31 December half yearly at this point, budget review. And then the next squeeze point is 18th of April, in which you would have to present a quarterly budget and the 31 March. So
Yeah.
I guess the only one that's got a bit of a squeeze there is that 18th of April, I guess.
Yes, and I know Laurie's.
I'm going to wait till the 18th of July, which is after the end of the financial year, to do the third quarter budget review.
Yes,
Because by then it's too late.
yeah, and at the moment, I know Laurie's working towards the next meeting, 29th of November, to be the first quarterly review, and then the next one to be on the 18th of April. I don't want to leave it.
Rather than the 7th of February.
Oh, hang on, I just want, which day are we now voting for? Are we voting the
We're just having an
7th?
open conversation.
Let's have a conversation on the 29th.
Any of those dates that are.
Well, I don't, the 17th of January's would interfere with
That one.
On the blue box.
So that's what's up there. Okay, that's all right. So my only query is if we're able to make it just a tiny bit later, but it doesn't matter that much. Everybody wants to.
Well, are you happy about
1 p.m.
1 p.m? Yeah, just, yeah.
1 p.m. Make it comfortable.
One's fine.
That's not work for me.
I want it so far.
I'll just work.
Yeah.
We all work.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
so one PM's great, because we're more likely to go again
And,
for lunch next to.
you know, points taken, the reason in prior years they were able to have quarterly meetings was because all the information was available for the quarterly meetings. And, Laura and I don't see any reason why that shouldn't be the case going forward. Having completed the year-end accounts, and since that time, from 1st of July onwards, we've been managing the accounts ourselves. So we know what's going on and we can, you know, produce the quarterly reviews and what have you.
With respect, Mr. Chairman, I'm just pointing it out to you that in the third quarter, ends 31st of March, the meeting's on the 18th. So I'm just making you acutely aware that you would have to have those accounts prepared and then be able to do a review of those accounts and your budget movements. I don't know how long it takes you to close out a month or a quarter at the
In
moment.
18 days, or 17, 16 days, basically 2 weeks.
To close the books and then review it against your operations.
Look, I
You
don't.
a report to us 7 days before or however many days. before.
That's going to be too tight for you.
Yeah, and look, I don't mind if you wish to change the date. It's just that was the date that was arrived at last meeting.
We're not worried about it, we just think.
If you want to,
We just think it might be easier for you.
Yeah, but the second apply to July.
That would only be a draft set of accounts because they'll be going into the end of financial year anyway.
Yeah.
So you won't have
you don't have
have
to.
you don't have fourth quarter budget review.
Yes,
So these say
so if you wanted to make it the 25th,
That's fine.
the reason it changed to the 25th is because it was Anzac Day.
Exact day.
Well, we have a council meeting on the 26th.
Yeah, I know. I've said the history of it was, it can't be the 25th. Oh, we'll move it forward a week. We'll put it on the 18th.
Yeah.
So the
Well,
question,
you can do 2 weeks later if necessary.
Yeah, why don't you give yourself an extra 2 weeks, because it's quite a big job. And
which would be the 32nd or 3rd.
32nd. Like that.
It'll actually be the 2nd.
Second
Yeah.
of May.
let's do that.
Yeah.
Appreciate the-
Is there any issue with that?
I don't have any issue, no.
All right.
I'm just saying, I know how historically we got there. It was, we were so excited about Anzac Day, we forgot about what the 18th.
Okay, Tuesday, 18th of April has been
Yeah.
changed at the moment to the 2nd of May.
Yes,
In the meantime, it's been moved.
to 1 p.m.
Oh,
The
it's
meeting should
latest.
ordinarily be held at 1 p.m.
Yes.
Ordinarily. in case-
No, I do agree with that because of, I can get half a day's work done. Lara can drive down. No, I mean, you've got to think of it because
Yes, that's right. And none of these clash with your council meetings, Tuesdays. No, I mean,
if they do, then we're holding them at 4:00 in the afternoon.
So,
Okay, so,
it shouldn't be a problem.
We shouldn't be needing more than 3 hours.
no, we shouldn't. We should be doing a meeting in 2 hours.
I think the code of meeting practices now, I can't quote it, but it's limiting how much time we can spend at meetings.
It is, that's pretty long. I
yeah.
give you that, no, it's a long one. I'm
Oh, is
telling
it?
you, go.
Yeah, so.
It's about 4:00 to, you mustn't go past 9:00 that night or something, or I've read something.
Yeah, no,
It's a lot of minutes.
Jailbreak.
Yeah, that's,
NEWA used to be an hour and a half.
there's all to do with
It used to be
minutes.
held between 8:30 and
We got
11
that
o'clock.
locked. Have we got-
Oh, yes, I remember those happy.
Last
night.
It's 2 hours.
Talking about keeping meetings to,
Okay.
have we moved and seconded that? And
We
Mr.
just
Chair,
need,
have we moved it?
we just need names.
I think it.
You said you wanted the date and the time. Chair.
All right, I'll.
Second.
We've got to have some,
And you want to get confused, so.
Dorothy second. Dorothy second.
Oh,
So, to move a second anything.
All in favour of that?
He'll do the next one.
Thank you. 2nd of May, 1:00, change from the 18th of April, just for the video.
You do.
Okay,
And I wouldn't hesitate to say that, you know, the theory of having 4 meetings and being paid what councillors are paid is to compensate for, you know, losing an hour or two in the centre of the day. But no, it's not.
Discussion for item 10.
right, I like it. So, moving on, councillor remuneration. Open for discussion.
Look, 2% is the maximum we can get, isn't it?
No,
It's not.
that is what has been awarded across the board. Somewhere here I've got the remuneration tribunal. And Dorothy will read that in 38 seconds, I'm sure.
Through the chair, asked the GM, the report did not, it says what we're currently got as an allowance,
Yes,
but it doesn't say what those minimum maximums are in terms of the scale. So remember the last meeting, we had that discussion about where does that sit?
yes,
Still a number was there.
Because I looked it up.
Should be in the report.
yes.
We have an,
So it's also, I'll just bring up the actual report real quick. But the minimum for our kind of council is $1,860 a year. That's the minimum. We get $2,548.60 per year.
Yes.
So we are above the minimum, we're below the maximum. The maximum that we can have is $6,180.
Yeah.
So, yes, so we're above the minimum, below the maximum.
so
Well below.
what,
Yes.
what we,
So there.
what would be poorly,
We're county council other. Yes, that's right. So minimum.
60 of minimum, I put that in here. And 60
Have you got
of maximum.
There, councillor.
25. Asking me a question.
Sorry, I was just saying, have you got it there? It
I've
looks
got-
about the right page.
I've got table 3, county
Yeah.
council, you want us to,
Yeah.
New England Tablelands, which I think is us, but then
There you
that's, it's fine, that's the
That's it.
one.
Yeah, it's the one in,
We're the very bottom.
yellow.
Yeah.
No, councillor Connor has it with the 2% increase by the looks of it. You got 1,900 as the
That
minimum,
is the new one, okay.
6,300 as the maximum.
Yeah.
There were, it was 6,180 before.
you can discuss this openly.
860.
Yeah, and 6,180.
Or we-
Oh, yes, that's right, 6180. Yeah, so the new one.
Do you want me to?
6,180.
When they roll, are we allowed to?
I don't think this should be public. Do you?
Well, I prefer.
You said 6, 3.
Because we're all-
What did you say?
So, yes.
We have to make a decision.
It doesn't cross my right. So, okay, the resolution passed in the closed session was that the councillors' remuneration be increased to $6,300 per annum with effect from the 1st of July 2022, and that the consideration of the chairperson's additional fee be deferred to the next ordinary meeting. And that was moved by councillor O'Connor and seconded by councillor Packham.
All in favour, said aye.
Yes, we did that in there.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much. Now,
Oh, it's 11.
it is 11,
Chair, sorry.
adoption of model policies.
Well, I'll move it subject to the correction I
Yes.
emailed around.
Yes,
Like this.
I'll second it.
I'll let our minutes person catch up.
Dorothy, would you mind reminding me the changes?
Well, the main change, I was just a
Oh,
start.
it's just about that.
I think
14 days.
that the 14 days for the public forum.
The recommendation talks about a workshop.
Mhm.
So are you moving something that's not in part of the recommendation, or are you moving the recommendation with your amendments? Because B and C Talk about us having a workshop.
Or having a workshop. Knowing that this thing is so fiddly. Yeah, right, Dr. Rodham.
Actually, we've got a discrepancy here that in in paragraph D, we've got proposed above square brackets 2. Shouldn't that be proposed above?
Sorry.
D?
Yep. Yeah. The workshop, there may be no need for a workshop because there may be no policies that require, there may be no local policies that require reviewing. It's just that the requirement in the Act says that you must review local policies and, if necessary, conduct a workshop to review them.
That wording's with one of the things about council undertake a review of local policies at a future workshop.
Yes.
You can just write that a possible future workshop. But having said that, I'm quite happy. I think having a workshop is a great thing. We'll just dealt with our remuneration in a positive way. I wouldn't be averse to it because I think, you know, if we're kind of going to want to hear with, there's a lot of things we can do in a workshop. I remember when the acting new general manager was appointed last year, I think it was, and we did have a number of workshops, and that was key to getting on top of the organisational change that needed to happen. So I think that can be pretty handy.
Thank you, Councillor. My part concern, or from my own ignorance, is that the report doesn't indicate what are our local policies as opposed to the model policies. So I'm not quite sure what those ones are.
Okay.
It's not in the report. It says a list of the model policies for adoption is this, but doesn't talk about local.
Okay, it's back to the old division between operational policies. If I said instead of local, said operational policies that relate to the operational running of the council, and the other policies are the governance policies, if I can put it that way, which are the ones that we're in the process of considering adopting. Yes, so we're not reviewing the code of conduct or things like that. We're reviewing the local model policies.
Which
Well, I think we need a report to the next council meeting on what policies we need to review. And I think that
Yes,
that would be the easiest thing to make a decision then on whether.
and that's why I said I don't know what needs to be workshopped because there's quite a number of them, and we have to sort of go through and say, well, which ones are we talking about?
Chair, at 15.0 on this agenda, you've got a list of attachments. Which are
the model
website. That looks like.
They're all the non-local policies, if I can put it that way.
They're non-local.
Yes.
Right. Well, I think actually having a good look at the local policies is a really great idea.
So those local policies could be itemised for the next meeting.
Yeah.
Just in point form.
So
That's
that.
what I do.
Yeah.
I don't want to ever, we know what they're about once they something in front of us.
So let's have a record, just make a change to A to say that council endorses the model policies, subject to the change in the code of meeting practice, emails prior to the meeting. And so that council endorses the model policy documents as provided by the Office of Local Government and other policy documents that are listed below, subject to the changes emailed prior to the meeting. And that a report is provided to the next meeting of the need to review local policies at a future workshop. In accordance with section.
You got them all in, Tim?
Ideally,
I certainly think that B, C and D should be deferred until we've had that report.
Yeah, I'm just saying that.
Because item D also talks about adopting all existing draft policies until the policy review proposed has been complete, and that's just a.
Yeah, well,
Well, no, I think we've got,
Yeah.
we can't have a vacuum in local policies. We've got to have something there.
yeah.
That's why I support D, except that the square bracket should contain the letter B.
Yeah.
But B's talking about local policies, Margaret, I don't know what those are.
Yeah, well, all was in that report comes through.
That's a point though.
I can't accept D to adopt all existing draft local policies.
Right.
Review because we're deferring them to.
No,
talk about-
Well, I think, yeah, well, I'm happy to go with that view. I don't agree with it, but I'm happy to sort of
Well, the word's law.
look at it on that hill.
Well, Review means authority to operate somehow, I get that.
yeah,
I
these
can't
are,
adopt anything before a review.
yeah, these are the policies that were
I mean,
adopted by the previous council under the then acting general manager.
if I was to authorise
Then Wilcox, so
And I find,
it could be endorsed the previously adopted.
yeah, I've seen a couple of those policies. And
don't
there are a few problems, like a lot
Yes,
in them, and I'm tending to councillor Packham's view now that you mentioned
See,
those.
what changes here?
They're
The
inconsistent.
council adopt all existing draft policies. If you got rid of the word, the council adopt existing draft policies, not all of them.
it's the model ones, the.
Well,
Yeah,
the difficulty is, Glenn, a lot of the
Yeah,
things that we, yeah,
No, you do now.
are matters that we need to look at, in my opinion.
No.
And so,
There you go.
Through the chair, could it be that we just, for the matter of this one, just say we're going to be endorsing the model policy? From what I understand from Glenn Innes, they said that a policy that is already been adopted
Yeah.
and has existed in the council will continue to be enforced until such a time as it is reviewed.
Yes.
So those things will continue on whether or not we do D
That's
or
right.
not.
We can remain silent on
That's
them,
right,
therefore they're still in.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then we can set a review at another time.
If we just stick with A and Dorothy's
Change.
changes,
Yeah.
that's what we're moving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The rest remains silent and falls null and void for today. And then B, that a report be presented to this council detailing the local policies.
Local policies.
And if-
in anticipation of future workshop.
Yeah.
Something.
And the need for a future workshop.
We're going to have info first before we decide whether the workshop.
I'm happy for it to be, I'm happy to go with you there, councillor.
Because that might be an action or an inaction at the time. We might
Yeah.
decide that it need a workshop.
Well, covered anyway, on what you
Yeah,
said. so-
It's covered.
Well, through the chair, I would sound a note of warning that we need to get onto this quickly, because when I had a look at some of the new policies that were brought in by the acting general manager back last year, I think it was, some problems arise. And we should get on top of
Yeah.
it.
So when's our next meeting?
But you'll want to have a workshop separate to that.
No, not before.
We'll have the report.
We'll have
and then
a-
we'll decide whether we need a workshop, any of that.
Right.
Once we-
That's a fair.
I think we only need to say that a report be prepared for council of all local policies,
Yeah.
or listing all local policies.
And if we can get those before the meeting, we can go through and save a lot of time during the meeting.
So if it's possible, because it's just an action item, it's possible, Mr. GM, we could have them a week or few days, like a week or so early.
Is that possible?
That's,
That,
you can have it tomorrow.
No, well, that'll be
In bullet form, you can, yeah.
yeah, because.
Yeah.
It is important for two reasons. One, the Local Government Act requires a new council to review all local policies.
Mm.
So we have to do it, it's a requirement. The other thing is, just to horrify everyone, we spent a significant amount of money on HR policy development. We're talking about $200,000 odd. And when we reviewed, when our current HR specialists reviewed those policies, they'd all been based on the State Government Act and not the Local Government Act. So we've been gradually rewriting 25, 30 odd policies that were unenforceable, which I'm assuming you're talking about.
Correct.
There's horror stories in these policies that were presented and they're just not usable, they're just not practical.
Yeah, but I'm really delighted to hear that you've been working on them.
Yeah.
It's not in front of us, it's largely done.
Yes.
That's great
Yes,
news.
I'd say of 40+% is already done, etc. And then we obviously review them when we come to use them. First thing I do is read it, and oh my God, we better rewrite this one. And that's what our HR specialist, which is Carol Logan, has been doing for her exorbitant fee of $29,000 compared to the $200,000 we paid.
Into another local business, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And cost us $75,000 to get out of it.
Dear, dear, anyway, yeah, cranky, yes. Can we move on?
Yes, so
Yeah.
I've got, so
Vote on the motion.
then we've got A, which is subject to the changes proposed, and I've nominated the policy as set out in your email, and that a report be presented to council listing local policies.
As soon as possible.
Yeah.
So that maybe you could do it.
It is quite easy. We've got a sophisticated library, so it's
And
not
then-
that out.
And we're removing C and D, removing C and D from the recommendation.
Yeah,
Yes, all
correct.
right, very good. Yes.
I thought the chair, sorry, Mr. Chair.
Who moved it? I have it, that it was
Dorothy.
moved by councillor Robinson and seconded by
Me.
councillor Gresham.
Gresham,
All together, team,
I had 3 words in.
You did it.
You contributed.
all in
That's what I
favour,
want to do.
Aye.
Oh, yes.
moving, thank you. Unanimous.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm not much for that.
We on to 12. There's a motion, this is a closed session.
Okay, so I'm going to go into closed session.
Yes.
Sorry.
And councillor Packham seconded. Here we get this. Yeah, a motion here. No, beg your pardon.
Resolution.
The resolution, can you read that out? I'm not saying I can't read.
Right, okay.
I wouldn't be that rude.
It's usually.
General handle that read.
No, no.
General manager.
No, please, thanks.
This is to prove that I could read.
Yeah, I got it, so.
I tried to write it.
Very much easier to read
Thank
than the previous. Anyway, so item 12.1 closed session motion that UGN's performance review be convened by the deputy chair as a matter of urgency, and that the panel consists of councillors Bauer, Gresham, O'Connor, Robinson and Packham. Also on the panel will be a representative of local government New South Wales, Christian Morris. In accordance with clause 7.5 of the General Manager's Standard Contract of Employment, the panel will convene to review performance based on the established performance criteria and job description for an annual performance review. So moved councillor Gresham, seconded councillor Packham, and carried 5-0. Did I get that right?
You did, that's right.
You can read.
Very nice, right? So,
And.
It's the writing,
Right,
is it?
right, so that was,
So everybody's happy now, aren't they?
yeah, very happy.
Well, that's it. Look, final item on the agenda.
No, I'm 13.
13.
13 matters of urgency.
Did that.
Well, the only matter of urgency I have is that we're normally on the 22nd of November planning to have a field day. A field day is really an opportunity for councillors to meet with staff primarily, but also to get an idea of what the weeds business is all about, what we do, how we do it. So when we're talking about these things, it makes a bit more sense because it's, I know what they mean now by whatever. So the idea would be to start at about 12 o'clock, have a barbecue lunch, and all the equipment, etc., will be present there. We are inviting or have invited local land services and the DPI, a representative of each, to attend and possibly give a presentation on what they do and their relationship with NEWA, because we obviously work hand in hand So we can get Beth to come along and say, look, what I expect from NEWA is this. And Nick Dixon, she'll say, well, look, we give you the WAP funding, what the WAP funding is for, you know, so that you hear it from the horse's mouth. And yeah, and by then we hope to have all of our new staff on board, including the finance and admin and et cetera, et cetera. So it'll be a bit of a brave new world. So
that's Friday,
No, it's
Tuesday, the 22nd of November,
Tuesday, got it.
at 12 o'clock at Charleston Waters. Willows.
Charleston Willows.
Tuesday,
It'll
22nd.
be waters.
So it's NEWA Field Day.
Yeah, obviously it
What
needs to
time?
be at 12 o'clock.
Charleston Waters.
Willows.
Willows.
Charleston Willows, yes.
It's down the,
What do I say?
it's down the Rockdale Road.
It's on the right side.
That's what time?
12 o'clock.
Oh, the 12th, it's an all-day event, yeah.
Well,
This calendar's,
12 till,
this calendar's, no, sorry, the calendar is silly, it sets up the
No,
Yeah,
event.
yeah,
That's
our calendar's being awkward.
12 to 3, aren't
yeah,
Library sent like acceptance. letter.
yes.
But we'll get instructions clearly.
And we have the apology of the chair,
Plus,
which is interesting because he says he has meetings with local land services, but local land services are attending
doesn't
the
matter.
field day.
It's not
So,
an issue.
so
You could get them to do a little presentation, that'd be great.
yeah, with us, and we're pretty, get on pretty well with them. So,
So next meeting, are there any other matters of urgency? That's another thing.
no, just that one.
I don't have, but I have a comment on item 15, but this item 15 isn't really an item to discuss, so I'll discuss it now if I can't discuss it at 15.
Now be fine.
Now be fine. The attachments saying to refer to a website is not very helpful to me. I've then got to come look for that on the website and find it with either hyperlinks or the www address. Yeah, if you don't mind going forward. Because I don't want to go looking for the model code of conduct for penal for August 2020 on your website on the search engine that may or may not be there or the list or.
Yeah,
So
okay.
I prefer to have them, the PDFs sent to me preference.
Well, they have been
Yeah,
on,
Yeah, but I mean, if it's part of the
Well, the whole-
agenda, no, but if it's part of the agenda, then they need to be don't tell me that, asking you not to tell me that they were meeting to me back in April's meeting and I should go looking for that. That's just the speed of how we can service this job.
yeah, now what's the easiest way to do that though, because I was
Well, a
like,
PDF can have a hyperlink in it,
yeah. Oh, all you want is.
and it can bounce out if it's, if it's at the minimum, a hyperlink.
Yeah,
Well, sorry, the minimum, the actual web address.
Yeah.
The second thing would be a hyperlink. Best option would be to attach a PDF of the policy to review.
okay.
yeah.
I can do that.
Ideally in a separate file.
It's got the further website, doesn't help me find.
Yeah, no, it's just having long PDFs
Yeah,
is quite hard to manage. It's better to have separate.
Oh, no, that would be individual
Yeah,
attachments.
as long as they're individual PDFs, I'm happy.
Yeah, I wouldn't ask him to try and put,
Yeah.
merge them on,
thank you.
but I don't want to go looking for them.
Next meeting, Tuesday, the 29th of November,
Yes.
At 1 p.m. At 1 p.m.
1.
Can I just ask, are we going to have an update on the building drama, the building up at the airport
Yes,
at that meeting?
yes. I can give you an update now as well. It's out for tender. There's 3 potential contractors who are all Armidale-based companies, some of whom you'll know too well, and some you won't. And the idea would be that we possibly will have tenders back for the 29th, but it wouldn't be my intention because it'll take the whole meeting if we start talking about tenders and buildings and all the rest of it. So it's a case of getting on with that now.
But that was a closed tender too. It wasn't put out through New South Wales Tender Link.
No, it's a closed tender.
So-
It's a selective tender.
Yeah, but you usually have to have a panel before you do selective. I mean, you wouldn't have had that before. I just want to get my head around why is it just considered that, I mean, it's nice to have local businesses providing the tenders.
Because
but
if we were to go,
cost over functions are also important.
yes, the reason for that is, and talked about this with procurement of Armidale Council as well, that if we went out for a building, which is effectively a bit like building a house, so it's not a huge building, we would get inundated with responses. And given that there's only a number of people in Armidale and Tamworth, and we did take Tamworth into consideration, the view was that it'd be better to say, look, we want to have 3 quotes, so we'll select 3 people to obtain quotes from.
And none of those include Tamworth.
No,
I just want
they can,
to
I'm
make sure
sure.
that our procurement rules allow for this, because anything over 250,000 is supposed to go to open tender.
Mhm.
But, you know, you've got to really have procurement
So,
policy, a tight procurement policy that allows you an exemption to going to tender, to open tender, and I just hope that you have that stitched in.
No, because there'll be a lot of visibility once.
Yeah.
And
You don't have to handle complaints, people say you had tender and you didn't invite
all of us,
all of us to
I mean,
come.
there's more than 3 builders in Armidale.
It's not, it's shared, it's not just a house, so.
The house with a
Respectfully
shed.
disagree with your analogy.
It is a house.
It's $1 million, it's
a
$1 million
house
development,
with a shed.
$1 million development.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
blessed.
It's I don't know, I feel a little uneasy about it being so limited, but do we?
Well, I'll do a deal with you.
Usually they're on a panel.
We can go to an open tender and you cull the first 1,000 responses.
No, I couldn't, because I'm not a skilled procurement officer.
Yeah,
Which is.
not tender for local builders though.
yeah, but there is no such thing, open. Anyway, look, leave it with me.
I was just going to say, are we having a Christmas party?
Yeah, it's on the 22nd.
On the 22nd of November.
Get 3 rides in the Argo.
Yeah. Yeah,
And the new Kubota side by side.
No, that's okay,
and if you want any special drinks, you nominate them now.
just not alcohol. No, it's a health issue, Tim. Is it? Because I don't like furries. Yeah.
Right, well, I'm
I'm
going
not saying you have to have, like, you do it for him.
We'll have a drench down there. Isn't it?
No, I don't want to stop anybody else drinking.
you won't vote.
I don't know, but I would.
And is there anything else?
6:10 PM.
Leave the meeting closed. Thank you very much, everybody, at 6:10 PM.
Thank you, Tim.